he started tying me up and chaining me up to the bed or some hotels have the sink that's inside of the bathroom where some hotels don't. Well, if the hotel had the sink on the outside of the bathroom, he would tie me up to the post of the bed. One day I had cleaning staff. I'm tied up. He took my car, go do whatever running or wherever
So
he was
left
going.
and tied you up so you couldn't leave. Okay.
Hotel staff asked me to please move to the side so they can clean the bed. All the while I'm asking them, begging them for help.
You're lying.
No.
Oh my
I was tied
God.
up, spread eagle to the bed. They asked me to lift my butt so they could change the sheets.
Kick us off.
Kick it, bro.
3, 2, 1. Okay. Kick it. All right. So we have Heather Hackett with us today, and this was somebody that knew someone that came on previously. You told us that there were a lot of news outlets that were trying to talk to you about your story. You've never really had a chance to come out publicly and do it. So this is the first time people will hear your story from start to finish. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome.
Damn. Well,
Thank
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
I read what you sent him. I was like, oh, bro, I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
It's we appreciate that you chose us, I guess, to share this stuff. So thank you for coming.
No problem.
Especially in the shitty weather out here.
Yeah.
Man. It's
not
terrible out
Especially,
there.
I live an hour away.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, yeah, you get it.
We appreciate it. We do.
Not a problem.
So we'll dive right in. Tell us where you grew up, how you grew up, and what your childhood looked like.
Growing up, I was born and raised here in Columbus, South Columbus, in Obetz.
Okay.
I had a pretty atypical childhood. I didn't have any childhood traumas or any. My parents, they had their original fights and stuff, but my mom had mental health issues that she never really took care of. And I did a lot of sports. I was Girl Scouts, softball. I had a pretty normal childhood. But at 15, my mom chose to leave my dad. And from there, that's where I would say my addiction starts. At 16, I started drinking, filling up the water bottles, putting a Jolly Rancher in there, and taking it to school.
Was there alcohol in the house, or
No.
was there any drug use in the house at all previously?
No, my dad would drink socially. I know my dad smoked probably a little pot here and there. He's like,
Who doesn't smoke a
He's
little
a
pot
hippie.
here and there, you know?
right? My dad was a hippie
Yeah.
predominantly, and so who doesn't? As a younger man, but as an adult, I know, no,
Right.
there was no. My grandfather was an alcoholic. I know that.
So a little mental health, little alcoholism in your genes.
Right there, it was there.
Just a little bit.
Right, I tried to stay away from the alcohol, but after my mom left, and I was the girl that got made fun of really bad. And
For what? The parents, your mom leaving?
No, I got made fun of for my nose.
Oh, what's wrong with your nose?
Your nose?
My nose.
What's wrong with your nose?
I don't know. People used to call me Miss Piggy.
As a
Or
kid?
Margaret
Ouch.
from Dennis and Menace. Oh, yeah.
Damn, Margaret, not Margaret.
Both of those women, Miss Piggy and Margaret, they both got their men at the end of the day, willingly or not.
Yeah.
So, I got to give it to them. But,
Was there bullying prior to...
oh, yeah. I got bullied from the moment I went into school. I was always a little bit different. I was never Miss Popularity. I always get along better with the boys than I did with the girls because I was a jock. And I went and worked out with the guys. Most of my friends were guys growing up. And guys seemed to accept me more because they really care what I wore, what I looked like, but I never got looked at as the girl anybody wanted to be with.
Always the friend, huh?
So, always the friend. So, I had to go 3 schools away from me to find a boyfriend.
Man.
Oh, yeah.
So you had like a normal childhood. You
Yeah.
participated in activities. You went to school. You did okay.
Yeah.
But there was a little bullying.
Yeah.
And then you said at 16 you picked up a drink for the first time.
Yeah, a friend of mine, her brother was much older than we are, and he had turned 21. And we lived in a small town where everybody kind of knew my dad. My last name kind of runs true through my town. Everybody knows who I am. So we'd go to the bad neighborhoods or neighborhoods that were a couple streets away. They wouldn't kind of card us, or at least me, because I always looked so much older than I did when I was younger. I could pass for 21 at 16, 17 years old, and nobody ever carded. So, I mean, I got cigarettes by I was 15, could get alcohol. As long as I wasn't buying anything hard, we mainly stayed with Zima.
Oh my God, Zima. Was there
Jesus.
alcohol in Zima? I don't
Yeah,
remember.
no.
I remember that
Oh, no.
shitty drink.
At least we felt we got drunk.
Zima's
Right.
terrible, bud.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zima was horrible.
God, I haven't heard that in a while.
yeah,
Throwback.
Zima. Jesus.
Throwback. What did that first drink do for you? Tell us about the experience.
I feel the experience probably made me feel really grown up. Felt like I was committing a crime, doing something bad, because I was always the good girl. I was always the girl who did what my dad told me. I didn't sway from that. My dad kind of scared me growing up. And, but I don't know. I really didn't, like you see most people who really dislike alcohol or they do that face. I didn't. I liked it.
You mean
Liked
from the
it.
taste?
Oh, from the taste of it. Oh, most people absolutely hate
You liked
it.
the taste?
Oh, I like the taste. I take
Okay.
tequila. Normally, when I did drink, I took tequila straight, no lime, no salt.
God.
Okay.
I love it.
All right.
Savage, man. All right.
Tell us how that got worse over the years, right? You start out, you have a drink. Was there a feeling of like, oh, now I belong, now I fit in,
I've
or
made it
like
to the promised land.
this makes me feel popular, or like,
I was more accepted. I was not accepted. I was more tolerated.
okay,
In our small town. I don't know, but I think people tolerated me. I didn't really have a lot of friends. I had like maybe about 3, 4. But when I went to college at Hawking College.
so you graduated high school.
I graduated high school.
Problem.
No problem. I went
Okay.
to Fairfield Career Center. I have a vocational degree, and I also have my high school diploma. And then I went to college, to Hawking College, which is just 20 minutes away from OU.
Yep.
So Halloween party, that was where it was
man.
at.
We went.
Oh,
We
yeah.
both went to OU. Bruno and I did, and that was actually the reason I
Yeah.
applied at the school was the Halloween party.
I lived in the town of Nelsonville. I lived up by Fruth Pharmacy,
Okay.
and an off-campus apartment with me and a bunch of people that we went to college with, and finding out that we're so close to Meigs County for Meigs Gold for weed.
Oh my God, yeah.
The Budweiser plant's down the street.
Wait, what is Meg's Gold?
Bro.
It's weed.
My wife was just because she's from Meigs, and she
Oh,
was just
wow,
telling me, she's
yeah.
like, never heard of Meigs County Gold? I was like, no. What the?
What
fuck
does that mean?
It's just like a strain of weed that's like big deal.
Oh, okay,
in
over
Meigs
there.
County.
Okay.
Yeah, they
Okay.
grow it in between the rows of corn. That's why it's called that.
Yeah, I used
Okay.
to make fun of her when she talked about it.
All right.
She'd light up.
Right, and then finding out that I was finally away from home. Didn't have to listen. I was over 18. I didn't have to do what my dad told me to do anymore, and no one really to watch me. So I wilded out. I tried everything under the sun. I was not just partying. I was able to. It was very, very easy to get alcohol. Very easy to get weed. I got cocaine while I was there. I got hooked on that rather easily. It was really. Actually, now it's very surprising about how easily I got addicted to cocaine.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it was never just one line
I
of
never
cocaine.
did, yeah.
Oh,
or-
no,
No, that's not, no.
By the worst, I was able to do at least a ball and a half in a day.
God damn.
Yeah.
And how does it enter your life? Like you just smoke weed and drink, and somebody's like, "Hey man, I got some blow," and you're like, "All right, let's try it."
Right. It was just, all right, cool.
and then bada bing, bada boom.
Was it offered to you? You went and
Oh,
did you
it was
seek
it
it
was
out?
offered to me by a guy that I lived with.
Okay.
He came home for the weekend, and he came back with it, and we were having a party that night, and I walked in his room to go tell him something, and he's like, "You want to try this?" Sure.
You loved it.
Loved it.
Oh yeah, it was nice that, and then finding out the way cocaine affected me. I liked the hyperness. I'm not a downer person. I hate feeling relaxed. That mellow, I can't stand it. It's irritating. But you give me, I'm a caffeine addict. Like there's no tomorrow. And cocaine, it was just woo. I could get so much done in my classes.
See, normally people
oh,
start
yeah.
with the Adderall, and then they're like, I can get stuff done in my classes, but you're like, nah,
No.
let me just
No.
do some blow.
Pills always made me nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I've never done any pills ever.
Just cocaine. Just
Cocaine and snorted meth. I did meth towards the end.
Okay.
But cocaine was my thing.
So you pick up cocaine, you're going to college. Walk us through this. We want to take a moment to announce an exciting partnership with K&B Clothing Line, a brand that truly aligns with our visions and dedication to recovery. We all have a past and a story to tell, and Live Inspired K&B Clothing Line believes that every story deserves to be told without shame. They're also extremely invested in the recovery community, and it shows in their clothing line. Every piece, just like the one I'm wearing here, carries a powerful message inspiring people to never give up. Own it, wear it, be inspirational. Go to www.liveinspiredknb.com and use code GETAGRIP for 10% off your first purchase.
While I was in college, I started doing cocaine off and on. Not all the time because you're a broke college kid. But it was all about the cocaine and the sex. So, I mean, it heightened absolutely everything I did. There's someone just brushing up against you or touching you, it was all very different for me.
Okay.
And after college, unfortunately, I partied myself out of college. I did not graduate.
It's okay. Been there.
Right? So I had to tuck in my tail between my legs and call my dad.
Oh, go back home.
And go back home.
What'd you tell Dad?
Oh, I told my dad that something with my tuition screwed up, and because I got student loans and stuff, and I told him that I used too much of my student loan, and I lied my way out of it. I mean, he believed it, so when he couldn't call and question it, because again, I was an adult at that time, so
Yeah.
he couldn't call and ask or wanted verification of that.
Right.
So
You moved back to Columbus?
I moved back home.
Okay.
And I lived at my dad's house for 6 months and then got my own apartment and was working for Steak and Shake at Morse Road at the time. And about 3 months after I moved into my apartment, I met my baby daddy.
Okay.
And his first name was Elvin. He was from Honduras. He was illegal here at the time.
Okay.
And, word of the wise, don't marry an illegal man.
Especially nowadays, especially in the next 4 years.
Right? Very, very happy that headache is over. I met him at one of the Hispanic nightclubs that used to be up on the north end near Spain and stuff like that. And I found out that he was a cocaine dealer and dealt with pot and a bunch of other drugs. So
Jackpot.
Yeah.
we exchanged numbers, and he liked me. I liked him. He gave me a lot of.
You
free
liked his
coke.
cocaine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
no.
Let's go.
Right? Like, so, and he was working roofing for a company here in Columbus under the table, and there was 4 hurricanes that were going to hit the year before Katrina, and they were going to relocate him to Florida. So I moved with them down to Florida. I lived in Orlando for a year and a half, down there, it was easier to get my drugs. You just drive up, you tell them exactly, but you got to say it a certain way, otherwise they won't
Where are
sell
you
it.
driving up to?
These apartments in the middle of the hood out in Orlando, over by the Greyhound bus station of all places, and these people are walking up to you with the old boom boxes, like from the '80s. They take off the whole back, and it's all
What year is this, by the way? Sorry.
2002.
Okay.
2002, 2003. And I'm drug dealers. You go up here, you deal with dope dealers and their time and how they're going to either bring it to you
Yeah.
or they're going to have you come get it. And you're just in and out. No, this is weird. These people have these huge boom boxes on their shoulders. You drive up to the apartment complex, they open the entire back, like where the batteries would be, and all you see is these little baggies already pre-weighed, everything. You got from teeners, you got the nickel bags, the dime bags, whatever. How many do you want? And it was really cheap, and it was really good.
Yeah,
So my
convenient.
addiction got even worse. I'd have to say the most I would stay up is probably about 4 days would be my most I've ever stayed up.
Damn, just ripping and running. What are you doing? Like,
I was driving because now the guys are legal enough to drive.
so what do you do like during the sleeping hours? Like, what are you what are you accomplishing? Are you just doing
I'm
coke all the
cleaning,
time?
but you
Yeah.
can only clean so much.
Yeah.
So I'm going through itemizing things. I'm great at filing. So like my clothes were all perfect and clean out the cars, cleaned out my neighbor's cars.
Damn.
I was like, hey, you want your car? Sure. I ain't going to steal nothing. I'm not that person.
You were just offering this up as like a free
I
service.
was
Something to do.
high.
Something
I
to
was
do.
high. I was high.
So like that's what one of your like 4-day benders would consist of. Like
A
do a
lot of-
bunch of blow, clean shit,
Right.
and file shit and
Right.
whatever.
That I'd shop, and I mean, we had a lot of money, and he made great money, and his company that he worked for paid me to drive him around. So I mean, I didn't have any kids at the time, and really didn't have any rent because hurricanes had just hit, and the company we both worked for paid for our rent for free for 2 years.
Wow.
So
That sounds like a sweet setup.
right, well, they couldn't afford a hotel because you couldn't find a hotel because so many people had been devastated by all these hurricanes that year, and well, after all that, we had a lot of money and stuff, which was great. We went on a couple of trips. I went and visited his family that live in Texas, and that was an interesting drive.
Does he speak English?
Yeah, fluently.
Okay. Do you speak any Spanish?
Yes.
Okay.
I speak enough of it to cut somebody out really well.
Okay.
Just the important
It's
stuff.
always the first word you learn is cuss words, right?
I'm always, use me as the backup if somebody doesn't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Look for somebody fluent before you ask me.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like
But
plan,
I know
plan C.
enough to carry on a small 1 to 3 word sentence
Okay.
conversation.
Okay. All right.
Eventually, work dried up, and we still had a lot of money. We saved a lot. But before we left, we brought back 6 keys of coke
Damn.
with us back to Columbus. We knew we were going to need to make money until
That's
me or him
It's a lot of
established work.
cocaine.
And it was very easy to get down there. We drove to Miami to go get it.
Really.
Yep. And I had we had a minivan at the time, and that we were financing from a place out in Florida, and called my dad, said we're moving home. Work dried up down here. It was either that and Hurricane Katrina had just hit, and we decided no. The company wanted us to go that way, but I'm not moving that way. It was really, I saw all the stuff on TV and how sick people were getting, and I was just like, no. So we made the option to move back to Columbus. Moved in with my sister and at the time her boyfriend, and
Brought 6 keys with you.
right.
Yeah.
Well, we let them know because her boyfriend
it's
was
nice of
also
you.
another dealer, and
Okay.
by this time, our relationship with my baby daddy was okay. I wouldn't say it was always great. I mean, what couple doesn't fight and whatever? But after we moved back to Columbus, that's when it started getting really, really bad.
What do your parents think of like you marrying like an or being with an immigrant guy? Because I'm assuming they're like old school, right? Like
My dad and my stepmom. My stepmom, she had I didn't really care for him, but they really never let me know their main opinion about the whole situation. They didn't like him. I mean, he had his good qualities, a hell of a worker.
Did they know he was selling drugs?
No.
Okay.
No.
he didn't open with that when he first
not
met.
at all.
Okay.
Like, hi, Dad. By the way, he's my
okay.
he's my coke dealer.
He's a coke, yeah.
And we told my sister's boyfriend what we were bringing back because I mean he was a petty dealer. I'd like to say he's like the low totem pole, the in between dude.
Middleman.
Yes. And we let him know, so his eyes got real bad.
I bet.
Oh yeah. So we stayed with them for a couple weeks until I got an apartment, Maple Glen.
Where is that at?
That's over off of Alum Creek.
Okay.
I see. Yeah, I think I know that place.
I think at one point, what wasn't it called, Uzi Alley at one point?
Okay.
Yeah.
So not a great part of town.
Oh no.
Okay.
Could never afford to live in the nice part of town, even with a good job.
Even
So
with 6 keys.
when you move into Maple Glen, what are you seeing? What are you seeing around there?
A lot of hardcore drug addiction, really bad. And as a white girl from the south end of Columbus who grew up in a predominantly really nice neighborhood, a lot of this is a giant culture shock to me because this was not how I grew up. I never imagined seeing children in these areas, and it's a lot. It's soul crushing watching some children who are going through what they're going through in their homes, and I mean, and just seeing what drugs and alcohol do to the parents and to the loved ones around, just even my own neighbors. It's like, oh, I'm not that bad. You question yourself, like, I'm not that bad. But really, and I am that bad.
Right.
I just don't look like that. When I've lost weight, I felt I looked good. But actually, after I've gone back and looked at pictures back then, I looked bad. And the signs were there, and nobody of my family ever caught it. Nobody knew I was an addict until everything happened.
Well, let's talk about everything that did happen. So you move. How old are you at this time when you moved into that neighborhood?
I was 23.
Okay.
Me and Albin stayed together for a couple more years, and at that point, domestic violence came in. There were signs: black eyes, fat lips.
With baby dad.
With baby daddy.
Okay.
I became pregnant in 2004 with his child, and I have the first boy. To my dad had all girls, so my dad was over the moon. And I had a boy November 5th, 2005, or 2007. And we did get married on November 5th, 2005. So my son was born on our wedding anniversary.
Okay.
And my son was born with a heart condition called supraventricular tachycardia. I did not use the entire time I was pregnant.
Damn, good for you.
As soon as I found out that I was pregnant, I didn't.
Yeah, was that hard for you? Like how? I can't imagine.
Once I could live without cocaine. It was trying to stay away from the alcohol. That was really, really, really hard. And I had to, my baby dad was very compliant with not bringing alcohol or any friends with any beer of anything of any kind. We wouldn't even let juice be in the house too long because, as you know, once juice sits for long, it can ferment and whatever.
So you sort of just white-knuckled your way through the pregnancy.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Right, which eventually put strain on my pregnancy. I got diabetes while I was pregnant and had to follow diets, and then my son was born with heart issues that I had to be trained to figure out how to take care of him. All the while still being beat while I'm being pregnant, and it got real bad. It got really, really, really bad. Um, my ex-husband liked to waterboard me.
Really?
Wow. Walk us through how does that happen? Walk us through that.
He'd get upset about something I did, or dinner not being on the table, or not picking him up fast enough from work because I was at the store getting diapers for the baby. Just anything was setting him off at this point. And after the baby would go to bed, he'd forcibly tie me to a chair and waterboard me, dump water on me. He'd get buckets and constantly fill it.
Was he putting like a towel over your face, or like a washcloth or something, or he would just dump water?
My neck would be like this.
Right.
Yeah. He'd forcibly hold my neck back.
Holy shit.
And then when's it end? Like, when is he like, all right, you've been waterboarded enough?
I'd say the longest probably lasted for about an hour.
Holy shit. God.
So, and he tried to come up with new and inventive ways to... He felt hitting just wasn't enough. And if I tried to defend myself, I got it even worse.
So at this point, you're starting to be tortured.
Yes.
That's what they do to terrorists,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Well,
after my son was almost 2 years old, my husband got deported because he got into an accident in my vehicle. Friends of his that he worked with paid for him to come back to the United States. And when he came back, about 2 months later, found out that I was pregnant with my daughter. It was about 2010 at this point, and I'm about 26, 27 years old. No, I'm 28, I'm sorry. And I eventually gave birth to my daughter about a year later. He was still abusive. We lived someplace, we lived behind, what's that place called? Living in an apartment behind the Alvis house. I think it's now over off of Alum Creek Drive.
Yeah.
Over there.
Yep.
And
Dog shelter back there.
yeah, you can see it right
Yep.
from the backyard.
Okay.
And was pregnant. I didn't have a car, and me and my son, we'd have to hoof it. No matter what time of day, he wouldn't help me. By this time, it was so bad. I was pregnant. Either you got to take me or you got to take him. By this time of this man not having a Social Security card, I ruined my credit going from apartment to apartment to apartment because he'd get frustrated and didn't like the landlord or something like this. And we're still using off and on, but it got harder. He stopped dealing because he did actually not want it around the kids. I appreciated that much. But he eventually started working for this gentleman who owned a car lot off at the north end by the old Schottensteins off of by Northern Lights. Okay. And Northland Shopping Center. And we're living out east off of Phoebus and Alum Creek, and this was like our fourth move. 2 kids, broke, finally got a car, still using more than what he actually knows because I'm asking and begging Dad for money, pawning things, selling things, getting loans, stuff like that.
Typical,
help my
stereotypical
habit.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. I never went to, like, a store and stole something, tried to give it back to him for the money. Never, ever did any of that.
You were payday loan gal and hit people up for money.
Yeah, I didn't want to do something to get me into jail, even though I was doing white-collar crimes.
Right.
Going to payday loan. Yeah. I didn't know that until after I did it, and someone told me, oh, I didn't know that. But by this time, when we were living there, I guess The gentleman that he was working for was doing something sketchy. I went to a job interview that day. My son went to school. I dropped my daughter off at my parents because he was going to work. This gentleman that he worked for was going to come pick him up. Well, my mom was living with us my biological mother was living with us at the time because she got diagnosed with MS.
Okay.
And my mom told me that all these people that said DEA and ICE came into the home. And I'm like, well, ICE is immigration, DEA, I know what they are. And I was like, what the hell are they doing? And I come to find out the guy that he was working for was running guns. And my husband got mixed up in the stuff. I don't know if he knew about it. I'm assuming he did because of the person I know he was.
Yeah.
And he got deported.
Again.
I haven't talked to him or seen him since.
Jeez.
So round 2, he got deported. That was it.
Oh yeah, about moved back in with my mom and my dad, but my dad and my stepmom, and my mom I had to put in a nursing home because her MS just got too bad. I physically could not take care of my mother anymore. But I made sure she went to a good place and moved back in with my dad, and that was the hardest. That's where my addiction really started. The worst. It was me and my dad loved my father. He passed away a year ago, and my dad is my biggest cheerleader. I worked the entire time through my addiction. I'm a functioning addict. At least that's what I've been told.
Sure.
Partied hardy on the weekends. Still did a little throughout the week just to get a pick me up to keep going to work and stuff. But it wasn't good. And me and my dad, we butt heads all the time. And I'm living back in his home with my 2 children and lonely and looking for that quote unquote knight in shining armor. Yeah, they don't exist. Not in those situations. Well, I started on, I hadn't had a date in the new technology age before. What'd you do? You hope to God your friends knew, had somebody, a friend
Sure.
or your friend's boyfriend who'd
Right.
go to the club or bar or something. So I had to relearn how to do all this. So I found out internet dating. Why not? Let's try it, right? I met a man off of POF.
Plenty of fish.
Yeah, buddy.
Oh yeah, his name was. We'll call him what he asked me to call him. His name is B.
Okay.
B was 4 years younger than I was. At this time, I'm 30 years old. My daughter's a couple of years old. I dated B off and on for about a year. Thought I was dating. B is not a white man. He was an African American, and my dad wanted me really to try to not date outside of the race.
Yeah.
Which I understood. And
Old
I
school guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I eventually get kicked out of my dad's home. My dad found out I was dating him, and this whole time I'm partying while I'm staying at my dad's, not doing what they're asking me, even though this is their home. They're being kind enough to not charge me rent for me to save up. I'd stay out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning with my children. I'm not making safe choices.
Jeez.
I'm not making good choices, and I'm not being a good parent at this time. I wanted someone to love me and to feel loved so desperately I was willing to jeopardize other people's love who loved me from the beginning and didn't realize that. And I mean, I know my mistakes now. But after I get kicked out of my dad's, me and my children go to Choices, the domestic violence shelter here in Columbus. I saw what Choices looked like, and there was no God-given way. I know how bad an addiction I was in and where I was going. My addiction just is not alcohol and drugs. It's also sex, the attention of men, and the call of the street. It's so much louder than anything that I've ever been through. And I knew what road I was going down. My son at this time is about 5 or 6, and my daughter was 3. I walked into Children's Services on East Main Street in Columbus, Ohio, and I told him, I'm going down a road that I can't have my kids with me no more.
Wow.
I'm not safe. I am not safe for them to be around. I didn't want anything to happen to them. If I'm going to be homeless, I want to do it myself. My kids don't need to be on my hip.
Wow.
So I willingly put my kids into the system for 22 months.
Damn.
So for 22 months, I stayed and went back to Choices that night. At least get clean, get showered. This whole time, I'm still seeing B off and on. Because, I mean, I'm able to get drugs through him. He was a middleman. And this whole year I've been dating him. Most women send their boyfriends kind of like lewd photos, topless, nude, whatever. And I had a couple. I had $50 from my last job. It was the last $50 I had in my pocket. I willingly left Choices because they were going to make me go to the women's shelter, and I had heard even horribler things about that. So I was like, I'd rather stay in my car. So B had called me, and he said, let's go get a room. I said, sure. I had absolutely no clue what I was walking into at this point. I thought we were just going to get a room. We're going to do our thing.
Sure.
Whatever. No, he lets me know that he posted the pictures that I had sent him over the year up on Backpage, and he told me, bitch, you're going to run me my money.
Wait, so did this guy just flip on a dime?
Yeah.
Like, you did not see this coming?
No, absolutely not. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm thinking he's joking.
Yeah.
Like acting out a scene of a movie or something. Like, I mean, as a joke. And I'm like, he's like, no. Like, what do you mean, no? He's like, you don't have your kids here? Now I can really use you what I really want you for.
Wow.
Like, what do you mean? I thought we were
Yeah, we're dating. Yeah.
dating like that. And he's like, he sat down and explained everything to me. And he sat down and told me that, no, absolutely not. I would never date a woman like you. I've been using you because you're willing to buy me, get me, run me, whatever I want. And now because you're penniless and you still have something that I want, but it can make money.
Mm.
And I'm like, I ain't doing that. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm rather cavalier, but I get to choose who the heck I want to sleep with on a daily basis.
But he also knows he's got you in like a vulnerable,
Oh,
desperate
yeah, I was
spot.
so vulnerable. So vulnerable. And from this man, I was going from my ex-husband who emotionally beat me down and told me I am worthless. You are a fat, nasty bitch. The whole time I got put down, and I thought of myself so low. I was so low, and I just wanted someone to finally love me. And it's like, why am I trying to fight for this love? But I am. And that day is the day I feel I lost my soul. When I had to lay on the bed and have a man old enough to be my dad purchased to use me for whatever he wanted. There was no God in that room.
Take your time.
I will never forget that.
That was the same night.
Oh, yeah. And
so you're like in this new world all of a sudden at the snap of a finger. Everything has been
happened
flipped
overnight.
upside
I
down.
was 32. And this happens to girls that are as young as 10, 11, 12. But I've seen victims way younger than me.
Yeah.
And I I'm an adult. And your ideal, you think of a prostitute or a hooker, you think of movies or Law and Order shows that you've seen.
Sure.
Oh, no, 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 no. That's not what we look like. Um, he started posting me on Backpage, and come to find out, he'd make me take more photos, videos. He never used my real name. Thank God. He pumped me full of drugs on a daily basis because he felt that if I became sober minded at any point, that I would want to run. Because I don't know, that was his thing, and he was a drunk. At this point, I'm not drinking as much at all. I'm in pure survival mode. He wouldn't feed me. All the money went to drugs with the room.
And you guys are just living in a hotel now.
We're just living in a hotel.
Okay.
And there's obvious signs to hotel staff, hotel workers, that there's boxes of condoms, lube, not a lot of clothing,
Right.
constantly paying in cash.
Yep.
Not like for a week at a time. It's like every day. I'm earning to keep staying here. And there's drugs. There's sign of drugs in the room. It smells like pot and cigarettes. And I mean, if you don't know what the straw looks like, and you're not an addict, you may not know what these things look like. But about 3 months in,
Same hotel whole time.
no,
Okay.
we had moved between 3 hotels.
Okay.
The one hotel is one of the small little, what everybody thinks looks like a hooker hotel.
Okay.
It's over off East Main Street.
Okay.
He used that when we were too down and out because of how cheap it was. He posted me on Backpage constantly. He'd took my phone, he'd take my keys. So one day he screwed up because he got too drunk, passed out, and I grabbed my keys and I ran. I did escape a couple of times. But at the end of the day, in 24 hours where you don't have any money,
Yeah.
I don't have a phone, I have nowhere to go. But I was hungry, so at least I went. There's the lunch line. It's over by Grant Hospital where you can get some free bologna sandwiches every day around noon. So I'd go to that.
The first. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're fine.
The first time you ran, how long before you went back?
12 hours.
And it was just because you simply had no choice.
I didn't feel I could go back
was-
to my dad and ask for help. I was too ashamed.
Okay.
Because I have a younger sister. And my younger sister is also an addict. And she's still an addict. And she's still out there and has been for the last 20-some years. I didn't want to bring any more shame to my dad.
Sure.
That really meant a lot.
Totally get it.
And to my family. And after I came back, I got the beating of a lifetime. He never hit me in the face because
Well,
Your
it would be,
moneymaker.
it'd be obvious.
clients wouldn't want to.
Right. And hotel staff might notice. Other people might notice.
Oh, hotel staff didn't care.
They just didn't. Okay.
After this time, he started tying me up and chaining me up to the bed or some hotels have the sink that's inside of the bathroom where some hotels don't. Well, if the hotel had the sink on the outside of the bathroom, he would tie me up to the post of the bed. One day I had cleaning staff. I'm tied up. He took my car. Go do whatever running or wherever
So
he
he
was
left
going.
and tied you up so you couldn't leave.
Hotel staff asked me to please move to the side so they can clean the bed. All the while I'm asking them, begging them for help.
You're lying.
No.
Oh my
I was tied
God.
up, spread eagle to the bed. They asked me to lift my butt so they could change the sheets. It wasn't an old. It was an older Indian couple that were cleaning staff of this hotel, and I understand in where the country they come from, prostitution in this is very acceptable and it's very legal. It's different in different parts of the world. But I'm begging you, please, please save me. You have a daughter. You have other women in your family. Wouldn't you want to save someone to save yours? They cleaned the room.
So
They told
they're
me to have a nice day.
cleaning around you.
Yes.
Oh my God.
And then another hotel I was at, again, I speak enough Spanish to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
All the hotel staff was Spanish. I'm tied up to the pipes under the sink in this hotel room in the bathroom. They opened the bathroom to clean. I said, ayúdame, por favor, which means help me, please. Telefono la policía. Call the police. I'm screaming this at the top of my lungs. My trafficker had just ran out to the car. Because wasn't a hotel where you had the entrance to your room on the outside. This is you actually had to walk in
Sure.
and walk down the hallway. And they looked at me, no. They left the towels, all the shampoos and stuff that you need to clean your bathroom with on the bed and shut the door.
Oh my God.
Because they're more than likely probably illegal here
Yep.
in the United States and didn't want to ruffle any feathers or get in trouble themselves.
Okay.
I asked, I begged. My whole trafficking, I had to count at one point, and it had to be specific. I have an eidetic memory. I remember absolutely everything I have ever come across. I had to sit down and count how many men I had been with during trafficking. And
At what point are you doing this? Are you going through
When
these numbers?
part of my lawsuit,
Okay.
it was required
Okay.
to be able to show, I guess.
Sure.
And I had been, through this whole process, I've been raped, I've been gang raped. In every hole and orifice a woman ever has, in any type of way. I've been beaten by Johns. I've been...
And this is all the same guy.
Not just him, this is
Well,
clients.
right.
Oh, yeah.
But he's the one that's peddling you, essentially.
Oh, yeah. He stood outside of the door. He'd collect the cash, and he'd walk down the hallway.
And what's it look like on like a day? Like, okay, so is this going on for like 24 hours? Or you guys close up shop at a certain time, or is it just all day, all
It's
night?
whenever. It's all night, all day.
So you're on call.
I'm on call even when I'm on my monthly.
Huh.
That was interesting. He didn't care. He did not care. If I did not do what he wanted, I got beaten. At one point, he wanted to let everybody know that I was his, and I was his property. With a lot of human trafficking victims, you see they have tattoos that are meant from the trafficker.
Okay.
Mine didn't want to do that. Mine branded his name into my left hand.
So they burned you,
Yes.
essentially.
But it was only, I got it covered up years later by a wonderful organization called Survivors, Inc. I still see it. It's still there. Before my trafficking, I was a very spontaneous, very bubbly, very joyful person. Now, I have to find who I need to be now. And I know why I was chosen to go through all this. Because I am supposed to be the voice for the voiceless. I am a loud, red-headed, annoying white woman. And I know I am meant to help. I don't know if it's meant to be helping people on like a day-to-day basis, but what I've done, I know I've helped millions. At this time, I haven't seen my kids in almost 6 months. I got absolutely blessed with wonderful foster parents. And I could not have asked for anybody better to take care of my kids. And my daughter, I got a call on my cell phone, which I didn't have control over, so but my B answered. My daughter had an epileptic seizure. My daughter was born with epilepsy. And I still had my medical rights and they needed me to go to the hospital. I met their caseworker there. She slipped me a phone number. I had never in my life heard what a human trafficking victim was. I didn't know what that was.
I was gonna say, did you at that point? I mean, certainly in your head, did you connect all the dots? You know what's going on now. I mean,
I
you
know
know
what's
you're
going
being
on now. I know I'm being handed like
trafficked.
I'm being trafficked.
Was there like a lot of the like the Arnold, for instance? The Arnold comes to town. I know that
The
was
Arnold
like
Classic is the second most human trafficked weekend next to the Super Bowl.
yep.
Ohio is the fourth largest cross state for human trafficking because we got the state that goes up and goes across.
We worked at a hotel that
Yeah.
when the Arnold would come in, they'd tell us like keep an eye
be on
out,
the
like
lookout.
look for these
It was
things.
I'm of who I am in my everybody in my whole life has always told me I'm not the best looking, I'm not beautiful. From even little and being in school being made fun of, my self-esteem sucks. But being bought by men who are built giant men that look like that did something to my ego. Even though that they bought me. And I have to sit here and think that they didn't like anything about me. They didn't want me. They wanted what I could offer them. And, man, to talk about everything that I have actually been through with a lot of these gentlemen, there are some sick puppies in this world.
I can imagine.
Sick puppies.
Is there anything or any day or story that sticks out? Like
I had a guy ask me to come piss on him. He
God.
paid me $400 to come drive over to his house. We did in-call and out-call. No sex. It was the easiest thing I'd ever done, and I liked those. I don't like having to do what that was,
sure.
but not having to be used
Yeah.
in a
It's like a
sexual
light
way.
day, yeah.
It was really nice. He said, "I just want you to pee on me."
And then what? Is this going at himself while you're peeing on him?
Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
You have a lot of guys who may not be the most attractive in the world.
Yeah.
Who a lot of people feel, oh, those are the ones who mainly. No. I had a lot of prominent people in our society. I know I had a couple of attorneys that were regular customers. I had a couple of celebrities.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Never been inside the Hilton downtown. Or no, the Hyatt. I've been to the Hyatt and the Hilton downtown, but I've never once paid for a room for myself. It's always because they were a client. And going into those type of places, you've got to make sure you kind of look like you're supposed to be there.
Sure.
So I had to dress up a little extra, and my trafficker always made sure I had somewhat decent clothing for those type of people. So he let me go to the thrift store, and he would be the one to pick out the outfit. And he'd pick out a lot of clothes for me that I socially would never wear. I've always been a bigger woman. Never been Miss Skinny Minnie or anything like that. So, um, by this time, I had, I'm thinking I'm probably getting me about 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night. That's if, and maybe 8 hours every other day. Um, it got real bad. He started getting really, really, really paranoid, and he would he'd tie me up after every single client. One night he got drunk and he passed out. And I had two keys to my car. I had my regular set of keys, and then I had a spare. Um, my daughter on a visit, one of the rare visits he'd let me go to, with him being there to see my kids. My daughter tied a piece of yarn around my wrist and called it a bracelet. I tied it to my spare key, and I found my spare key 3 days after I saw her. And I was just far enough on the rope that he gave me to be able to crawl to where the spare key was and reach it. And he's drunk. I wasn't allowed to wear bra or underwear, and I'm wearing a dress. Like a really skimpy, low ass cut dress. And I queefed my car key. I had to hide it. He thought it was a tampon string for 2 days. And I knew eventually he had to untie me. And I needed to time it just right. Hopefully he'll get drunk again. And he'll forget to tie me up.
Wait for the opportunity. Waiting for your opportunity.
I'm waiting and praying. And on the second day, after I got done with the client, all I could do is, I never was raised to be a very big spiritual or religious person. My parents believe in Jesus and God and stuff. We just never went to church. Well, I got on my hands and knees and I begged in that dark ass room. Said, well, I'll do absolutely anything for God or the devil. I don't care. I'll sell my soul. Get me out. As a girl, you wish that a man will ride in and swoop you and rescue you. No. Sometimes in your life, you have to learn to be your own knight in shining armor. Because that knight in shining armor is never going to come. And nobody will save you better than you save yourself. My trafficker passed out drunk. And he tied me up, but he didn't tie me up too tight where I could wiggle my hands out. And he's using rope. He used chain at one point. The chain weren't tight enough. So, and they were really obvious, he said. So, I got my car key. My car was screwed up at the time. In order to start my car, you had to put the battery terminal things back on the battery.
Okay.
So I had to go out.
So you sneak out.
I sneak out, run out the door barefoot. No, I didn't have nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I run out the hotel room down the hallway. I put my key in the car. I open my hood, put the terminals on, close the lid, jump in the car, turn it, and back up as fast as I absolutely can. Here he comes, bustling out the door. And he is running after my car. I'm going as fast as I'm trying to floor it, but again, I'm in a parking lot. You can only go so fast without harming anybody. And then the rent-a-cop wanted to be up there and all up in the business. So when I slowed down to check both ways, and here my trafficker opens my back door and jumps in my car. proceeds to beat me in the face. I'm in the middle of a street between two hotels, over up off of the continent, and trafficker broke my nose. My nose was over here on the left side of my face. Rent-a-cop heard me scream loud enough that he
Okay.
called the cops.
Okay.
But this time, my trafficker threw my car and parked, and I'm just worried about the blood gushing out of my face. And he took my key. So now I'm not only have a broken nose, I'm without a car. So one of the cops was nice enough to allow me to use their phone because I couldn't go back to Choices.
Okay, so the police get there.
Cops didn't do nothing, even though I told them what my trafficker was doing. They said they went and looked, but I mean, there's so many hotels and different places to duck into and run away from up there and hide from. So I didn't get. He never got arrested. My aunt came and picked me up.
Okay.
Took me to Grant Hospital. They bandaged me up. I contacted a friend of mine who was safe. Just go someplace and sleep and eat. They fed me and they clothed me. And I bathed and I got to sleep for the first night without sleeping underneath a bathroom sink in almost 6 months. The next morning, I had no plans. I did not know what to do. I know I was in a lot of pain. I can't take any medication because I'm an addict. And I asked my aunt, I didn't have a phone, so I used one of my friend's phones that lived in the house that they stayed in. And I said, "Can I use your phone?" I called my aunt once again, and she picked me up and took me to the Salvation Army off of Main Street. That's where the call center is for Columbus for the National Human Trafficking Hotline.
Okay.
And they set me up with a place to go, a place to stay that's not in the city, so I'm away from my trafficker. They sent me to Springfield, and I went to a place called Project Woman, which is the domestic violence shelter in Springfield, Ohio. Lovely staff. Couldn't have asked for a better experience there. I still talk to a couple of the women that I met there when I was staying there. Still very good friends with. Because I showed up, I had double black eyes, and my nose was broke. I was there for, I want to think about a month and a half. I found out through Project Woman that there is a program in Springfield, Ohio called Safe Harbor House. It's a house for women. It's a treatment program where you can not only get clean and sober, but they also help work on if you're a domestic violence or human trafficking survivor. I entered their program. And I was there for 6 months. I got to heal. I gained weight. I went, and before trafficking, mind you, I was 250 pounds. That's what I am now. When I came out, I was 173.
Wow.
I looked sick. I hadn't been in some of the size clothing that I was wearing when I got out since, God, I want to say middle school. I've always been a heftier girl.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to learn how to re-enter society slowly. I got counseling. My one thing that I was the most scared of is contracting something sexually.
Yeah.
Like something major
Right.
that can't be cured.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I went and saw an OB, I couldn't even make it into the stirrups. I was so nervous for another, because it was hard to find a female down there where I was at.
I mean, I can imagine. Yeah, that's got to
And
be triggering.
right, so I had to have a nurse come stand in there with me and hold my hand, and I had to close my eyes because I have to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
And I found out that all I had was one, and it was curable. So I had something that was called trichomonas, which is an STD that you usually get from um, someone not washing themselves down there.
Okay.
So, which if the man just washes it, you don't have it anymore. So, that was very, very good to find that out. I didn't have any other major health issues. I did start seeing mental health. I got diagnosed with bipolar type 2, which I knew I probably had well back in high school. My depression was horrible because my mom left. It's just me, my dad, and my sister. Um, the way I got made fun of, it was real bad. So, but I got diagnosed with PTSD, with post-traumatic stress disorder. I suffer from flashbacks. I am agoraphobic. That's a fear of crowds. And I'm claustrophobic. Because of being forced to live in a bathroom for 6 months. And after I was at Safe Harbor, and I learned what I needed to there, and I found God and went back to church and met a lot of wonderful and amazing people who I credit with where I'm at today. I moved my caseworker within the National Human Trafficking Hotline. She lived in Marion, Ohio, and I was getting ready to leave Safe Harbors program, and she asked if I wanted to move back up there. I didn't want to come back to Columbus.
And you got clean at the time too, right? So not
Yep.
only did you get free of that, but
My
you were
clean
able to
date.
get sober.
Yep, my clean date is my free date, October the 14th, 2015.
Wow.
Mm.
No, I don't know how many days clean that is, and please don't ask me to count that.
It's okay.
And I learned a lot of things. Like when I was at Safe Harbor, we went to an AOD treatment called McKinley Hall at the time, and I thought it was like, oh, I'm not an addict, right? I still even convinced myself then I'm not an addict because I can set it down and walk away from it. I don't have to ever come back to it. It's not that addicting to me. And that's wrong. I learned that out real fast. Um, I moved to Marion. I took a drug test every day for a year and a half, and I paid out of pocket willingly to prove to Children's Services that I was somebody safe, good, and clean to have my kids back. April 1st, 2016, 22 months later, I got my kids back, and I was the only one that year. My caseworker didn't have anybody else fight to get their kids.
Mm.
So I got my kids back. We celebrate that day today just like if it was a birthday.
Yeah.
My kids survived as best as they could through Children's Services. As a mother, the worst feeling for me was walking in and walking away from my children. As a parent, I felt like I failed at that moment. But the moment I got them back, I know now I had to fight by myself. Yes, I had people around me to support me, but I did it. And yeah, I've changed. I'm not the same person I was prior to all this. I'll never be again.
It's understandable.
I now suffer from god-awful night terrors. Sleeping is scary. I have horrible flashbacks. I have to take mental health medication for the rest of my life. I have a service animal. I did not bring him with me because he'd end up barking. And trying to learn how to date after going through all this is even worse.
I can't.
I couldn't. I would never trust a human being
I-
ever again.
Yeah, any human. I mean,
I knew there was someone out there that would love me. And I have to. Being raised by parents who are old school, you're not supposed to raise children without two parents in the home. And it's just kind of the thing that I was always raised to think about. Like, you're not meant to be alone. We're not as humans. And aloneness scares me the most. So, every guy I've dated, I've always had to be leery of. Not because if they were a past client, is that all they want me for? Is that all they want me for?
right.
And because of what I had been through, it is something really big, and it's a very big part of who I am today, and I speak about it. I've told every man that I've dated on day 2. Like, let's meet, let's see how it goes, and if there is a day 2,
Probably smart.
because
honestly.
I need you to know as a man, I have been with this many people, and a lot of it wasn't willingly. A lot of men, and I don't get offended. If you think that's just too much for you to take on, it's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings. I understand what I've done. But to still know that I can still be looked at as a sexual creature and be sought after and to feel like a man just wants to oogle me, it still feels really, really good. Because in my head, I'll never be anything better than what I am. And I know that's untrue. But 3 years after I got my kids back, and oh God, I've had it. I think it was like 2017, 2018 maybe. I saw an ad on Facebook. It said a case for women to try to get financial, like sue your trafficker or your domestic violence person. I was like, I wonder, because I had proof that this staff cleaned around me. There was another business, their camera shot directly into my room. That was adjacent to this hotel. And every chance I got while I was trafficking, I took pictures of myself. I emailed them to a friend of mine. I said, I know you don't ever have to talk to me again, but please hold on to these for me. I may need them in the future. And she did. So 2018, after I saw this ad on Facebook, I had an idea. I wonder what it would be. Could I sue the hotels for having knowledge of my trafficking? I never once gotten to bring my trafficker to justice. I'll probably never get that. I know I won't because...
And you still haven't seen him since that last day?
No, but he has contacted me a couple of times through Facebook and social medias.
Interesting.
Now I've put in certain privacy settings to where he can't, and people can't just friend me. You've got to be a friend of a friend, stuff like that. I changed my number 6 times because somehow he keeps finding out my number.
Wow.
I had an idea. I was like, I wonder if I can sue the hotels. Met with an attorney. At one point, I had 7 attorneys. 7 federal attorneys.
Man.
The first one in the United States to come up with the idea to sue the hotels that were personally responsible for my trafficking. Because of women like me and myself who came up with the idea. I was the first on a federal level because I had missed the state statute of limitations. So I couldn't sue on a state level. I sued on a federal, and I was the first one. And we did settle out of court. They didn't want to. The night before we were to go in front of
Magistrate or a judge.
something like that. Yeah, it'd be the federal judges downtown.
Yep.
They settled out of court.
Mm.
And I was 4 years. I had to go through and meet with the attorneys, talk about all the trafficking, nitty-gritty, integrated details. They found all the pictures and stuff of me on Backpage, and I have to look at all of them and confirm. And
Basically relive it all again.
oh, yeah. Every time I tell my story, I relive it.
After you settled outside of court, was there some sort of was there value in that for you other than money?
I never have to work again a day in my life. I got
That's
enough.
nice. But I mean, internally, did you feel like you got that was a victory?
Yeah.
Some kind of justice, something.
It felt good. It felt really good because I got asked by one of the because I had sued 2 different hotel chains. One of the magistrates, after everything was said and done, asked me why. Why would I subject myself after being 5 years out of trafficking to going pretty much back mentally into it? I'm a mom. Because what I'm doing is going to save somebody else's baby.
Right.
It's going to save that woman, that child, that boy, that girl, that man. And because of myself and other women like me, there's I think it's the Human Trafficking Act of 2022 was brought into law.
You mentioned that you do some speaking now about this, right?
Yes.
In some places. Deliver a message to anybody out there that might see this, that has struggled with it, been through it, or might be in it right now. What do you normally say?
Always, if you're in it or if you were there, if you're in it, try to keep in contact with at least just one person from the outside. Always. And sometimes you have no choice. It is my motto. It's don't sit around waiting for something to happen or somebody to save you. Because more than likely nobody's coming. And what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and just keep going on, or are you going to save yourself? You have to learn to save yourself. And you need to learn to be your own knight in shining armor. Stop waiting around for that person. They may come, and I hope they do for you, but they never came for me. I had to do it all by myself.
I mean, yeah, because you got out of that hotel that night, and the only reason the cops showed up is because that fucking mall cop.
The mall cop.
Mall cop.
I know he's older than Father Time, too. He had to have been in his late 60s, early 70s. What is this?
Yeah, right. Well, right.
And he's about 5'0".
But nonetheless, he called the police.
He called the cops, and luckily the cops, the area, it's up by the continent, 161 area, and cops are always there anyways. Yeah. So, luckily cops are just across the street.
What is life like for you today? How?
I never thought I would be where I'm at, ever. I thought I was going to be that low income, Section 8 living mom with 2 kids on my back. I received Social Security disability because of my PTSD. I lived in low income housing when I first got out of trafficking. I did, and then I got Section 8. And just everything kept getting better. And then I won my lawsuit. I never once in a million years thought I'd own my own home. I got my credit good enough to where people trust me with stuff.
Yeah. And you deserve every bit of that, by the way. You do.
And I don't think I do. I absolutely hated winning the money. I didn't want it.
Well, the money
I
isn't...
felt it was just as dirty as the money that I would take from me.
It's not
Yeah.
going to fix the trauma.
No.
It's not, no. And at least it's justice in some form, and you deserve every penny you got and everything you got out of that, but it will never repair fully the experiences that you went through.
Right. And I've gotten to do things. As a single parent, I've never gotten child support. Can't from somebody who doesn't have a social.
Yeah.
I've lived on food stamps, and Dollar Tree having is life. Free store getting, oh yeah, that's me. I never once thought I'd be able to walk into the mall and actually be able to afford something over $12. $12, $20 the most. And half of that probably came from the food court. I mean, I never thought in a million years I'd be where I'm at. I bought my own home. I bought everything in it. I did. I don't need nobody's help.
Are you happy today?
I'm happy as I'll probably can get.
I ask people that a lot, and your story is very moving, and so I'm that's why I asked that question.
Right.
You know, like,
As a woman, it was very nice to know. I've always been told from a young age, as a woman, you're supposed to be submissive and demure, and you're supposed to be the one who cooks and cleans and does it all, and you're the mom, superwoman type. I am definitely not that woman. I am not I'm not super mom. I'm not superwoman. I do cook all the time because I love to cook. And I couldn't be happier of where I'm at. But you don't have to be what society wants you to be. I don't have to be that demure, stay-at-home mom who cooks and cleans and doesn't go anywhere. No, that's not who I am. I'm very spontaneous. I still like to go out. I'm a thrift store junkie now.
I love the thrift store.
I'm all about, if it survived my grandparents' time, it'll survive mine.
Amen.
3 generations later, I'm probably still using the same toaster. So, I mean, I get to do a lot more. I never thought I'd be able to give my kids Christmas. Christmas sometimes was exactly going through the Salvation Army and all the free things that give you out at Christmas. So that's how I provide Christmas for my kids before. And now I can actually give my kids things that I want to be able to give them. Just because mommy has it doesn't mean you get it, though.
right.
And like my daughter likes to go around, we're rich. No. We aren't.
Yeah,
I am.
That's so good. Yeah.
So you got to go get a job when you turn old enough. So, but I mean, this whole process, I've been through NA, I've been through AA, but what worked for me was CR. I love Celebrate Recovery.
So that's like religion and recovery combined, kind
It
of,
is
right? Sort
a
of.
lot of the NA groups that I ended up finding through Columbus and Springfield and Marion. You never heard any hope. It was just a bunch of negativity. Not saying it doesn't exist in there, but
You
for
really
me,
got to look around.
You do.
You have to kind of shop around.
Miserable, and NA worked for a lot of people, and I see good in everything because they all based off of the same 12 steps and concepts.
Yep.
It just Celebrate Recovery just worked for me, and I couldn't have asked for how I found it all. The confidence to go through all this, the people that stood by me, even the men that I dated. After coming out of trafficking, trust me, I had a lot more issues than I had then, and trying to learn who I am in my own mental health and my own recovery, what that looks like in a dating lifestyle. My husband Charlie is my third husband, and my second husband, after being out of trafficking and winning my lawsuit, he was there. My second husband was. But one night we went to a concert and he got extremely drunk on moonshine and beer and didn't eat nothing all day. And we were at a hip hop concert. And he chose to put me in a chokehold and try to strangle me out.
That was that, I hope.
I learned.
She got her
from
power
the
back.
Oh, yeah. I beat him. Not up, but enough to get away.
Yeah.
And I called the cops.
Good for
Yeah,
you,
One
bro.
time
Yeah.
was enough. One time.
That's
No.
growth,
Nope,
baby.
we're not
That's
doing that
growth.
again.
I was like, I'm not, no, not after. And you watched me and heard me sit down at every attorney meeting.
Right, he was there. He
everything.
knows
You
what you've been
heard
through.
Stuff that
The-
no man should ever
Yeah.
hear about their wife.
Right.
And
No excuse.
no, absolutely no excuse. You just stayed with me for the money.
Yeah,
huh?
no
Yep.
excuse. Yeah.
Money can be remade and it can be replaced.
Yep.
My life can.
Time cannot.
Love that.
So, but
Listen, your story is astonishing. You are a miracle. Sharing your story is so important. I love to hear you're doing it in the community and schools you mentioned.
yes.
Keep doing what you're doing. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Stella got her groove back.
Hey, and for some odd reason, I'm a unicorn. I never once was arrested, never been in jail.
And you know what? I don't think you deserve to see a jail cell.
No.
Quite frankly.
And the
You were
funny
you
thing
were
is to be a CO.
yeah,
That's what I went to college for.
Well,
criminal justice. You are a unicorn, and you're amazing. And thank you so much for coming on and
No
sharing everything with
Thank
us.
you.
It was
Thank you.
fantastic. You speak very well. So keep living.
I will.
Thank you.